All right, everyone, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you very much for joining us today. CED Greentech is very excited to be hosting today's webinar with our partner Stem. Stem is the first public pure-play smart energy storage company. They deliver and operate battery storage solutions that maximize renewable energy generation and help build a cleaner and more resilient grid. So thank you very much to our partners at Stem for joining us today. Next slide, please. So before kicking things off, some very quick housekeeping. So that you're aware, product sheets and additional information are accessible through GoToWebinar in the handouts section. We will have a Q&A portion toward the end of today's event. And to participate, please submit your questions through the GoToWebinar questions section. You should be aware that a recording will be sent to all registrants. Next slide, please, John. So to quickly introduce CED Greentech, we are the nation's leading solar equipment distributor with over 80 locations nationwide. We carry the leading solar, electrical, energy storage, monitoring, and EV charging brands to support your installation business. Please visit our website at cedgreentech.com to view a map of all our locations and to get in touch with a location near you. With our numerous stocking locations nationwide, our fleet of trucks rolling daily, our commitment to service, integrity, and reliability, and an unmatched service offering, there is no better partner in solar than CED Greentech. And with that, I'm pleased to turn the mic over to our esteemed hosts today, John and Jeff. John and Jeff, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Hi, everyone. My name is John Starin. I'm the channel program manager here for Stem. I've been with the company for about 3 years, and I was responsible for building the Stem's distribution channel, the Stem Partner Program, and Stem University from the ground up. And I'd like to say, as Stem's premier distributor partner, the CED Greentech team represents a highly valuable relationship for Stem, and I'm excited to be in front of you all today to talk about our joint offerings. And I'll hand it to Jeff.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Minch, and I'm a Senior Business Development Manager for AlsoEnergy. I lead the newly created AlsoEnergy distribution sales team, as well as our residential business. I've been with AlsoEnergy since 2013, and very excited to be working with CED here and launching our products through distribution, taking lead from the success that we've seen with Stem.
Great, thanks, Jeff. Okay, so welcome everyone again, and thank you for joining the webinar. As Tom mentioned, everyone's in listen only at the moment. We're going to have a Q&A at the end, which should be about 15 minutes, so please hold your questions till then. As Tom mentioned, they can go in the GoToWebinar panel, and then if for some reason we don't get to your questions, we'd be happy to follow up with you at the end of the webinar. Okay, so with this in mind, the content we would like to cover today at a high level is going to be our vision for how we can transform solar and storage asset performance, the capabilities that Stem and AlsoEnergy have together, our unique approach to selling storage solutions and solar monitoring, respectively. And if we have time, we can discuss some examples of how and where we have enacted this approach. Okay, let's talk Stem really quickly. Stem was founded in 2009 around our self-learning AI software called Athena. The software has always been our bread and butter, but what we sell to the channel is a fully integrated turnkey storage solution. We've been deploying systems for 10 years and currently have sites all over the country, amounting to almost a gigawatt hour or 1,000 sites in assets under management, which today makes us truly a market leader in behind the meter energy storage. Some additional highlights include that in April 2021, we went public. We're now trading on the New York Stock Exchange, as Tom alluded to, as Stem. And in February 2022, we acquired AlsoEnergy. Lastly, what makes Stem truly unique is that we build and manage the storage systems across a single software network. And we have done this more than anyone. We are definitely leading the pack in this regard. So with Athena, managing our network of systems, we have amassed over 20 million runtime hours to stay ahead of the competition and deliver smarter algorithms and more savings to customers. And I will pass it to Jeff to talk about AlsoEnergy.
Thanks, John. So yeah, as John mentioned, AlsoEnergy was acquired by Stem in February of this year. We're very excited to be a part of the team. AlsoEnergy brings our edge to cloud solutions to the already impressive Stem catalog. AlsoEnergy is ranked #1 as the leading independent monitoring company, and our numbers here really help to show that. We have over 32 gigawatts under management on our PowerTrack monitoring application and over 200,000 sites. And we have a global presence as well, with offices all over the world and over 500 employees.
Great, thanks, Jeff. So let's talk about the combined company. So what does a combined Stem plus AlsoEnergy company look like? Our collective companies have the unique ability to build what we call a platform-based solution model. No other software provider has the solar and storage optimization capabilities, longevity, or amount of assets under management to do so. In 2021, Stem was named one of the top 10 most innovative energy companies in the world by Fast Company magazine. That same year, AlsoEnergy was ranked as the #1 solar PV monitoring and controls vendor in the world. Collectively, we have tremendous experience in both front-of-the-meter and behind-the-meter systems and offer differentiated energy consulting services that I'll discuss in detail later. Now combined, the Stem AlsoEnergy platform-based model has the ability to comprehensively assist partners across the solar and storage landscape. Okay. So what does this model look like? Well, at a high level, the pillars of our organization's platform are software used to dynamically manage a portfolio of assets, which is constantly using AI to improve performance. Edge controls used to bring any site into aggregate portfolio view. And a unified operations team that is constantly refining portfolio strategy based on market insights and market developments, effectively allowing you to future-proof your assets. All right, let's take a deeper dive into this combined platform. Our software spans the ecosystem from the edge to the cloud and includes applications to support the key users along the full lifecycle of a project, from early integration to ongoing monitoring and optimization to monetizing the assets in market participation. Driving these applications is a cloud layer that ingests critical data about the assets, the environment, the market, and leverages our AI algorithms, utility and market integrations, and analytics to optimize the assets. It connects to the edge for real-time understanding of asset health and status, as well as management of the site edge controls that allow for site-specific communication to deliver the key service offerings that yield value, like utility bill optimization for a solar plus storage behind-the-meter system, or bidding into a merchant market for our front-of-the-meter system. This platform can be scaled to work across asset types, from solar to storage to EV and beyond. One of Stem's key unique capabilities that I want to bring up is that we have an extensive collection of energy consulting services. These start in the early stages of a project with our project modeling. Our system analysts and data analytics team have the expertise to help you affirm which products have favorable economics. Our services continue on through connecting partners with financing options, full supply chain support, working with our approved channel partners on delivery and construction, and ultimately managing the site so as to maximize value for the end user over the long term. This ranges from anywhere from 10 to 20 years. Stem's goal is to make it easy for partners like you to be successful with each of their projects and to find synergies to enhance their overall portfolio as they add projects to it. Okay, let's talk Stem U. So another notable way in which Stem supports its partners and customers like you all is through Stem University. So I actually led the launch of this online education platform in early 2020. We built it from the ground up, and its purpose has always been to further our partners' knowledge of energy storage solutions, with a focus on how to sell, analyze, and build energy storage projects. Hundreds of EPCs and other partners have already registered and been certified through Stem University. Additionally, I'm excited to note that STEM EU has undergone a refresher for 2022. Not only do we have new content, but it is contained in new formats so as to be more palatable and more digestible for our students. As the leader in the energy storage education space, we continue to see the need to scale our partner training and enablement platform as the industry evolves so that together we can help accelerate market growth. After this webinar, we will send you a link to STEM EU and in the hopes that you can all sign up. Okay, so let's talk the STEM plus CED partnership. So Stem and CED Greentech began partnering together in 2019, and since that time, I can say that it's been a very fruitful relationship for both parties. Not only have we helped a sizable number of customers attach storage to their solar projects, we have also grown our partnership significantly to the point where we now have a national footprint together, which is really exciting. Additionally, we are excited to announce that as of June 1st, 2022, CED Greentech is now offering two of AlsoEnergy's standard PLCS monitoring SKUs, the PLCS 400 and the PLCS 600. And Jeff will be speaking more about this later in the presentation. Okay, so let's dive into selling STEM's energy storage solutions. So I think the first thing we should discuss here is STEM's competitive advantages and why you should go with STEM or over another energy storage solution provider. So there's three key things that you're going to want to keep in mind when you're thinking about STEM when compared to other partners or our competitors. First, our software, again, it's named Athena, is truly best in class. So I mentioned that it's AI, it's self-learning, right? And so the way in which AI software gets better is by making decisions. And as I mentioned before, we've had over 10 years for this software to evolve, grow, and make decisions. I mentioned 20 million runtime hours. All of this time has really allowed it to become the best that it can be and allowed it to be able to be applied across a variety of different use cases to enhance its benefit for our customers. We're hands down the most validated optimization software in the world, period. Second, our experience in the market. So we've been through a lot of the issues that you guys have been before. We understand what it takes to get storage projects built and to run them successfully, both behind the meter and front of the meter. We have over 10 years of experience in deploying energy storage systems. And in that time, we've had all the headaches and ran into all the stumbling blocks that you guys could run into. We've been there. And so we're now at a point where we're able to manage a highly efficient deployment process for our partners. And this gets to us to our final competitive advantage, which is our service. We offer exceptional service at STEM. We're truly a full service partner. So over the life of a project, a major factor in our success is the relationship we have with our partners and customers. And the points throughout that life cycle where we can add incremental value. In this way, from both a pre-sale and a post-sale standpoint, STEM is truly a full service partner. On the pre-sale side, you're able to leverage our sales proficiency, our sales analytics, and our sales engineering resources. When it comes to the post-sale side of the house, our programs team coordinates with the local utility companies to ensure customers are maximizing revenues. Our supply chain works on customers' behalf to save them money on hardware and ensure that they get great contract and warranty terms. And our deployment team helps to manage their install process with the goal of shaving 20 to 30% off their project timeline. Overall, as our customers build and then manage multiple sites, having one entity, or one throat to choke as it were, and one software to manage their portfolio brings tremendous value. That's how we see it, and we hope you see it that way too. Okay, so let's talk about different market segments or use cases for storage. So the first main market segment is behind the meter. And so when we say behind the meter at STEM, we're talking about systems sited behind a C&I customer's meter for the purpose of helping them to manage their load. For this market segment, STEM's average system size is 2 MWh, and they're all outdoor systems. And the main value streams that STEM captures most often here are demand charge management, energy arbitrage, demand response, and incentive and solar ITC management. So diving into this diagram a little bit deeper here, let's use it as, kind of a use case and consider it as a factory prone to regular blackouts that has started to use EV trucks to deliver its products, right? So using a STEM solution, the system can be programmed to reserve the battery for backup during critical months for blackouts, and the rest of the year, the system backup can be backup capable, but primarily used to capture value streams, again, like energy arbitrage, demand reduction, or grid services programs like demand response. The point of these configurations is to integrate all generation sources and control the loads generated by the building system and EV charging stations. The battery can be optimized for utility bill reduction 90% of the time, but can also be islanded for critical facilities in the case of an emergency. So it's truly dynamic in that way. All right, let's talk about markets where energy storage is viable today and will be selling in the future. So right now, what we're seeing in the green and the yellow are markets where storage is viable today when paired with solar, and where it may become viable in the future if and when a storage ITC passes. So that's in the green right now, and the yellow as well. So many of the most active markets for storage today, such as California, Massachusetts, and New York, are currently driven by solar plus storage projects, and this is because of the storage ITC. You really need the storage ITC to make a good portion of these storage projects pencil. However, if a standalone storage ITC passes this year, solar plus storage will still be viable in these markets going forward, but we do expect that there will be a significant shift to deploying more standalone projects in these markets. Several of the shaded states here are new storage markets. So this includes Connecticut, Illinois, Virginia, and New Jersey. These states are currently developing state-level storage incentive programs that, combined with the federal storage ITC, will create dynamic markets for both standalone and solar plus storage in 2023. Finally, there are a number of markets that are developing based on the value that energy storage provides in mitigating high demand charges. This includes states like Arizona, Colorado, Michigan, Illinois, and Kentucky. So there's no state-level storage incentive programs here. But utilities in these states have high demand charges, which makes energy storage an attractive solution for many C&I customers. Because Arizona and Colorado are active solar markets, solar plus storage projects will be viable in those states along with standalone projects. However, states like Michigan, Indiana, and Kentucky are not attractive solar markets. So we expect the vast majority of storage projects in these states to be standalone, driven by storage ITC once it passes. Okay, sales qualification guides. So what to look for? So California and Hawaii are two major behind the meter markets for STEM. In California, economics are driven by the SCHIP incentive plus demand charge management and energy arbitrage. And the ideal site load for California is greater than 400 kilowatts. In Hawaii, economics are driven by the battery bonus incentive, demand charge management, and solar self-consumption, as there is no net metering on the solar allowed. The ideal site load here is greater than 100 kilowatts. And to give you guys some perspective here, the smallest system size that STEM currently sells is 500 kilowatt hours. And so that's either 250 kilowatts or 125 kilowatts. And that is a great fit. That SKU is a great fit for a site with a 400 kilowatt peak load and a solar system of a comparable size. And then, so if you're looking at, kind of looking on the right here to kind of broadly markets across the US, if there isn't a great state level incentive program, you're really looking at just demand charge management as one of the key value streams, and then in the absence of a standalone storage ITC, you're gonna need to pair it with solar, the storage with solar, to capture that solar ITC. And generally what we're seeing is that larger loads paired with larger storage systems and larger PV systems are the ones that pencil. So right now it's looking like, you know, greater than 1 megawatt peak load sites would be the best fit. And so for that, you know, that would be anywhere from a 1 megawatt hour or a 2 megawatt hour storage system, depending on the peakiness of the load. Okay, so now let's jump to Massachusetts and Connecticut, as those states have a lot in common and there's a lot to talk about. So STEM currently has both front of the meter and behind the meter deployments in Massachusetts, with actually more than 2 megawatt hours of behind the meter projects deployed and more than that on the front of the meter side. And this is key because it kind of gives line of sight for the prospect and the viability of Connecticut, because even though it's new, it has a similar program structure to Massachusetts. So kind of in summary here, both markets have a statewide incentive program. So Massachusetts has MA Smart, and Connecticut has the Energy Storage Solutions program. So these are both $1 per kilowatt hour incentive programs for installed capacity. Both markets are in the New England ISO, or ISO New England. And many C&I customers here are in ISO New England are exposed to ICAP charges that are determined based on their contribution to the ISO New England coincident peak. And STEM, storage and STEM in particular, can lower the ICAP charge by discharging during that coincident peak, and thereby reducing the customer's contribution to that peak period or that peak load for the ISO, which can be really beneficial for some of these C&I customers. And again, STEM can help you model scenarios like these. Additionally, both markets offer demand response programs that compensate the ESS for discharging frequently during summer afternoon peak periods. So in Massachusetts, this demand response program is called Connected Solutions, and in Connecticut, it's called the Performance Incentive. But structurally, the demand response programs are almost exactly the same. In fact, the Connecticut program was designed off the Massachusetts program. So where the markets differ is in the solution focus. So Massachusetts projects must be solar plus storage projects in order to qualify for the SMART incentive, that $1 per kilowatt hour incentive, and that's the largest piece of the incentive puzzle for this market. Whereas Connecticut projects can be standalone, but in the absence of a storage ITC, they would need to be paired with solar to be viable. And of note, additionally, is that these Connecticut projects need to be backup power as well. And so due to this, what we're seeing right now is that a system size of greater than 1 megawatt hour in Connecticut and loads at 1 megawatt or larger are going to be where you're going to be in the money in terms of finding opportunities. Whereas you can make smaller system sizes pencil in Massachusetts, and in fact, a key guideline or regulation for MA Smart is that for any solar system greater than or equal to 500 kilowatts, needs to be paired with storage to qualify for MA Smart. So let's shift our focus to Ontario and New Jersey. So Ontario is a veteran market for STEM, and New Jersey is a new market, but they're very similar. So it's good to talk about them together. So the main value stream for both of these markets is coincident peak mitigation. Both markets have a 5CP structure, coincident peak, and the end user's capacity and or transmission charges are determined based on their load during the 5 highest coincident peak hours. Discharging the energy storage system during these hours will reduce their load and reduce their capacity and or transmission charges. So, and then that there will bring down, again, their charges for their electricity bill. In Ontario, there's a new incentive program called SREP, which stands for Smart Renewables and Electrification Pathways Program, and provides an upfront incentive. Right now, there is no incentive in New Jersey, although we may see one released in late 2022, and we're actually seeing projects pencil nicely in New Jersey without an incentive. So they're in the money today. Both markets offer demand response programs, which provide supplemental value to coincident peak mitigation. Again, one area where these markets differ is in solution focus. So since Canada does not have a solar ITC, we've deployed mainly standalone storage there, and that's what we see as the general trend. However, projects in New Jersey do need the solar ITC to be viable. And that is fine, as New Jersey is a leading solar market, which is helping drive these storage deployments. But if we see a federal standalone ITC pass, then we may see an additional deployment of standalone systems in New Jersey. On a final note, really the only utility that's in the money for New Jersey is Public Service Electric and Gas, or PSEG. And so C&I customers served by PSEG have particularly high capacity and transmission charges, which helps make these projects pencil. Okay, so let's talk about front of the meter energy storage. So when we refer to front of the meter, we're talking about large systems, generally greater than 10 megawatt hours, sited directly on the transmission or distribution grid for the benefit of a developer or a utility end user. The main economic benefits for front of the meter are solar and PPA optimization, wholesale market participation, and or utility cost reduction. And I'll talk more about that in a second. Okay, so where is front of the meter storage viable? And as you can see, the majority of the country, and I'll talk about that in a second. But in terms of the most exciting markets right now, that on the vanguard of front of the meter energy storage overall, those would be California and Texas, ERCOT. They stand out from the pack. Both rely on wholesale market participation and can yield asset owners attractive returns. However, as it relates to this group, I'd say probably the most exciting is the electric cooperative market. And so that's the kind of the really bad with colors, but the dark teal shaded across the country. And so the electric cooperative market is super interesting. Here, storage can benefit electric cooperative utilities directly by helping them mitigate their coincident peak charges and also defer transmission and distribution charges. So this is really interesting, and it depends on the electric cooperative, but many of them pay coincident peak charges either on a monthly, quarterly, or 5CP basis, and they can kind of be equated to demand charges for C&I customers. But storage and solar can actually do a great job at mitigating these coincident peak charges. And so, for all of you working in electric cooperative territory, please reach out to your CED rep to get in touch with someone on the STEM side so we can have a further discussion about it, because there is definitely a super viable opportunity, and as you can see, it's across the whole country. So lastly, Massachusetts and New York remain consistent front of the meter markets for STEM, and we have a large number of assets deployed there and are continually optimizing our offering for end users. Okay, let's talk quick sales qualification for front of the meter. And I'll skim through this, as I know it's not as relevant as some of the behind the meter material for you all, but for the Texas market, for ERCOT, STEM's market offering focuses on small generation front of the meter projects. So these are basically 10 megawatt hour projects. And the reason for this is that they offer a faster interconnection time by way of avoiding detailed studies required by ERCOT for larger systems. So you can literally get these systems interconnected in the span of 3 months, which is incredibly fast, I think, as many of you know. And so the primary function of the STEM software of Athena here is to optimize merchant wholesale revenues across day-ahead energy, real-time energy, and ancillary services. And there's a very large amount of money to be made in this market in the next 3 to 5 years. For New York, STEM's focus thus far has been in the veto program due to revenue uncertainty from wholesale market only participation, but we see an emerging merchant and investor-owned utility procurement-driven storage market. This is driven by state policy, natural gas constraints during cold weather that increase reliance on oil-fired generators, the need to meet NOx emission standards and replacing aging peaker plants, the need to manage congestion in New York City, and to maximize the value of offshore wind. In terms of CAISO, or the California ISO, STEM's offering currently focuses on small generator interconnection agreement eligible resources. So these are anywhere from 1 to 20 megawatts. And the main value streams here are resource adequacy and wholesale market participation. Resource adequacy, or generation capacity, is a bilateral market administered by the California Public Utilities Commission, while CAISO operates the energy and ancillary services markets. Key drivers in the state are regulatory procurement mandates and a hyper focus on reliability needs. Okay, and so that concludes the STEM portion of the presentation, and I will pass it to Jeff to talk about AlsoEnergy.
Thanks, Sean. All right, let's move on here and let's get to the next slide. And awesome, thank you, John. All right, so to start our review of AlsoEnergy's solutions, it's helpful for us to really dive into what exactly the PowerTrack application does and how it helps PV project stakeholders. So with this graphic here, we can review 4 key areas of the application and how it assists such stakeholders. The first one that really comes to mind is just simply monitoring and operations. Our cloud solution, it allows for remote troubleshooting and diagnostics of various events that can happen to any PV system. For example, if an inverter goes down, PowerTrack can advise you of this so corrective action can be taken. Then that lost generation is mitigated. We also have control solutions available within the application, which allows for remote control of sites and power plant control configurations on larger systems, even large-scale utility sites where we can implement SCADA solutions. Additionally, data analysis will always be a key feature of this application. We're able to put together custom reports, custom dashboards, and of course, performance models to review if a project is producing as it should. This really provides a lot of flexibility, and different people have different use cases for a monitoring application like PowerTrack. For example, someone in O&M, they might create a dashboard to keep an eye on real-time inverter data, while maybe an asset owner has more of a financial view that they're checking on a weekly basis to ensure the site is doing what it should and help them monetize their PV assets. Next slide. So PowerTrack allows for multiple stakeholders to have access to important system data. With this slide here, we're just seeing how the different roles in a PV project can be involved and touch the PowerTrack platform. When a PowerTrack solution is purchased, it comes with a 5-year subscription, and that automatically allows unlimited user access to the PowerTrack platform. So with that, you can link your system to other stakeholders involved in your project or your portfolios. That allows for multiple eyes on your project. So the application is really designed for all users, from EPC to asset owner. There are features and values for each user when it comes to using the PowerTrack solution. All users are standardized on the same set of data, and this helps for cross-functional collaboration, which is extremely important when trying to keep a PV system operating as you intended to operate. Next slide. So this slide really represents the value that AlsoEnergy provides every stage here. So what we're looking at is how a PV site and how our solutions go from the edge, which is all the equipment that's actually on the site, all the way up to the cloud, which is being able to access the PowerTrack platform, anywhere you are with access to the internet. At the site level or the edge, we offer remote troubleshooting and on-site commissioning. So assisting our customers with getting their monitoring platform up and running. And as well, if there's any issues, we're able to tap into devices remotely and see if we can figure out what the issue might be to come to a resolution. This also allows for real-time data and site controls, and as well as the solutions that are available on the edge that we can assist remotely. We also, of course, offer warranty support on any equipment provided by AlsoEnergy, and we also have engineering services that can really help with more complicated projects or provide you with the ability to have your site already configured in the PowerTrack platform before you even get there and register the devices. And of course, at the cloud level, PowerTrack allows for data review, resolution validation, and just overall control of your entire PV portfolio. Move on. So here we kind of see the typical architecture of a C&I solution. Again, we kind of have the top here representing the cloud, and then the bottom really shows everything that's on site there. So, we work with all types of hardware and support third-party data ingests as well. But what we really are seeing here, and specific to this presentation today on what we're offering now through distribution, we could see how a standard C&I solution would come into play here. So at the bottom here we have the meter, which we could say is the PLCS 400. And that's connecting to the site's inverters, so we can collect that inverter data and monitor its performance. And we also have weather stations that are included in the assembly with the PLCS 400. So that'll allow us to monitor the site's performance and ensure that it's producing as expected, in perspective to the available sunlight resource on any given day. And so with that, all that data is collected on site and sent to our platform via secure cellular connection. And that's all ingested and put into our cloud server. And that's where we can all view the data on the PowerTrack application. Okay, next slide. All right, so now we can dig in more to what exactly is being offered through distribution. So, AlsoEnergy is very excited. As of June 1st, we have moved our standardized C&I solutions through the distribution space. And so what that really means is, these three SKUs we see in front of us here, that they are great solutions for really projects of anywhere from small C&I projects up to 3 megawatts. And the starting solution here is our PLCS 400. So as you can see here, it says up to 325 kilowatt, but the real limitation is actually based on the max amps of the system, because the PLCS 400 always comes standard with 400 amp CTs. Excuse me. Inside of the device, we also have a revenue grade meter, of course, to connect to those CTs and provide accurate production data on your system. We also have our data logger included, which will connect to all external devices, including any inverters on your systems. So we integrate with all the main inverters and have drivers for nearly every inverter in existence, and that'll allow you to see that data, see any alerts, and monitor the performance of those devices as well. In all of these packages, there's at least an ingredient sensor and a backup module temperature sensor. And those devices are really your basic weather station that will help you understand the performance of your system. You know, the PLCS 400 is a very plug-and-play device. All of them are built for the specific project. So when we review a project, you know, we're looking for things like, you know, what inverters are on the site. So that way, when we configure the box and get it shipped out the door, it knows that it's going to a site with 2 inverters on it, and that once those inverters are wired up to the enclosure, it's ready to receive that data and start sending it to PowerTrack. So, you know, the PLCS 400 and 600s, the main difference really is based on the, you know, amount of the system size that the devices can handle. So the 400, like I said, you know, will get scaled out of systems that exceed 400 amps. So that's when we'll move into the PLCS 600. And what's great with the PLCS 600 is even though it's just as plug and play as the 400, we do have a lot more customization ability with it, because it doesn't come with a standardized set of CTs. So we could have 600 amp CTs on it, we could have split core 2000 amp CTs on it, and that really allows us to have this device work on larger systems. And we usually see it, you know, going up to 3 megawatts where this SKU works very well. You know, with this solution, we also have the ability to communicate to a few more devices, up to 32. So, you know, that's including your inverters and weather stations and sometimes even trackers, things like that. And really the main difference between the 2 SKUs here just comes down to the weather station. So the base is going to come with a radiant sensor, backup module, temp sensor, which really is the, you know, it's the minimum solution, but really provides you with quite enough to get your PV model. But if you go to the plus and get a wind speed sensor and an ambient temperature sensor as well, that's just going to further improve the PV model and make it more accurate for your site review. So yeah, these are our SKUs that, you know, we moved through distribution, and you know, very excited to be offering them. And you know, we'll send some information about how to reach out to us and you know, get these systems quoted out through distribution now. Okay, move on. And so, you know, finally, the AlsoEnergy team is dedicated to supporting our customers and ensuring the success of their projects and portfolios. You know, we have a dedicated support team that's available 7 days a week. We have priority support access. So we have a tool where you can schedule support, so you can, you know, say that you're going to be on site and have a support rep waiting for you, ready to help you commission your system. We also have a dedicated training team who can provide training of the PowerTrack solution, as well as demos if you want to get more familiar or have your team get familiar with the platform. And that helps just really help folks understand all the rich features that are available to them. And even with, you know, the solutions here that are purchased from distribution now, our customers will still can expect the same level of support and care that we've always strived to provide.
Great, thanks, Jeff. So we're coming to the end of the presentation, but we wanted to give you all a quick heads up on how to order or request a quote directly from CED's website. So today, both AlsoEnergy and Stem show up on the CED manufacturing section. We both have our own manufacturing page. AlsoEnergy's can be found in the solar monitoring section, and Stem's can be found in the energy storage section. And on both pages, there is a button to request a quote. And if you do that, you'll get connected to the appropriate CED rep, who can then in turn connect to the appropriate Stem or AlsoEnergy rep. So we're looking forward to you all leveraging those capabilities. Okay, so thank you all again for allowing us to present to you. Here's our contact info. In addition to the CED pages on the CED website, you can also contact partnerprogram@stem.com for storage inquiries, or you can contact my personal email. And for AlsoEnergy inquiries, please contact distribution@alsoenergy.com. Great. Thanks, everyone. And now we will take some questions. Okay, so the first one is, what does the STEM team need from us in terms to in order to model a system? And so that's an easy question. So what we need from you all is 15-minute interval data from the building. So for a behind the meter system, we need 1 year's worth of 15-minute interval data. We need estimated solar 8760 data, and we also need 3 to 12 months of utility bills. If you can provide that to us, then we can analyze. What we'll show to you is we can produce a model that shows the incremental value that storage would add or detract from a solar project that you can then present to your end customer. Alternatively, what you could do is take the costs embedded in the model that we provide to you and plug those into Energy Toolbase and create a customized solar plus storage pro forma that way if you don't have your own economic model. But those are the 3 items we need, and we also have a project intake form that we can send out after this webinar that highlights that information so that you all know exactly what you need to provide. Okay, and so another one was what we use as modeling software to see if our clients' projects are viable. And so right now, the best modeling solution for STEM projects would be Energy Toolbase. STEM is currently working on proprietary software. It's not available for third-party use yet. So, but in the meantime, we have a partnership with Energy Toolbase, and you can very easily add our algorithms to your analyses in Energy Toolbase. You simply click on the STEM button when you're going to create a pro forma, and that will give you access to the STEM algorithms and modeling tools. And using that plus the prices for STEM hardware and software that you get from CED, you'll be able to determine whether or not your site is a good fit for a STEM solution. Okay, one more here. What is the lead time on AlsoEnergy PLCS projects? So it sounds like that's for you, Jeff.
I can take that. That's an easy one here and good question. I know, especially when we're talking with STEM products, our things are sometimes a little bit smaller, so we could ship them pretty quick. So on the PLCSs, we have a lead time of about 3 to 4 weeks, and usually we hit closer to that 3-week time frame.
That's good to point out, Jeff, because I'd say the lead time on STEM products or STEM hardware right now is anywhere from 40 weeks to 1.5 years. So supply chain, I think, as you all know, is very constrained at this time, and of particularly note on storage hardware. Okay, one more question here. So you mentioned that STEM sells a fully integrated turnkey storage solution, but that your bread and butter was software. What hardware do you use? Okay, so that's a really good question. So today, STEM partners with only tier 1 hardware providers, and that is Tesla, Sungrow, SYL, and Powin. And you can kind of break it down like this, in that SYL and SunGrow are a really good fit for the smaller building blocks. SYL has the 500 kilowatt hour building blocks, and SunGrow has building blocks starting at 1 megawatt hour, whereas Power and Tesla are a great fit for the larger building blocks. Tesla's building blocks, I believe, started around 2 megawatt hours, while Power's start at 4 megawatt hours. And in any case, nothing changes in terms of the performance of the hardware, as it's always being controlled by Stem's AI software. Okay. I think that's it for the questions, unless anyone had any other ones. Otherwise, again, thank you all so much for attending this webinar, and we look forward to doing business with you in the future.